Hey guys, happy Tuesday again. Today's Tuesday, January 8th, 2019. Super excited. So much so that I'm coughing to have my friend, the beautiful Beth Marshall, on the show.
Hi.
So let us know you can hear us or see us. That's always my biggest thing. Don't want to go on. Don't want to have anybody miss out on everything that Beth's going to share. So let us know. This is what I don't know if you know the story. So why I do this is because I did an entire show once, and there were people on and they couldn't hear, and they didn't tell me. So there was no audio at all. They just watched us mouth the words the entire time. Ben Gilbert, what's up? Susie Parker, let us know you can hear us and see us. You definitely want to hear this show with the one and only Beth Marshall, or Beth Marshall Presents. I like that.
Both.
I want to be Ted Bogert Presents.
You are.
I guess
you are. You're presenting right now.
All right, so we got a heart. So there we go. All right, so tell us a little bit about you. I'm so excited to have you on the show. We had a great time talking the past 30 minutes. I learned a lot, but I try not to delve too much into it because I want to learn more while they learn more.
Sure.
So tell us a little bit about Beth Marshall, maybe your origin story. Brian's on. What's up, Brian?
Hi, Brian.
Hello, Ron. What's up, Ron? Tell us a little bit about you.
Okay, so I came from Paducah, Kentucky.
Paducah,
named after an Indian chief, Chief Paducah, and I was there till I was about 15. Then I went away to boarding school in Concordia, Missouri. From there, I went to get a theater and math degree at Stevens College, or the second women's college in the United States.
Wait, a theater and math?
That's me.
All right, so how does that even work?
I don't know.
That's left and right brain.
It is.
I don't even know what to do with that.
I'm pretty split down the middle. I'm a little more right brain than left, but it's come in handy from the standpoint of producing.
Sure.
It certainly comes in handy from poker. I play poker.
That's your thing?
Yeah, it is my thing. Basically, when I left the nonprofit sector, I decided instead of dealing with disgruntled boards of directors and fighting the fight with so much arts funding cuts and things of that nature, that it's much easier to go get in a poker hand and get the money that way than it is to, kiss everybody's butt another way.
That's awesome. Nonprofits, that's exactly what we do. We beg for money.
It is.
You're constantly in beg mode.
Beg
and then
mode.
When people see you, they're like, oh, God,
don't ask me for another dollar. Yeah.
I've already given you all my money.
Yeah.
That's
There's
hard.
no more money.
But it's very interesting to have somebody who's got both the creative and the analytical side.
Yeah, so that's what my background is. I went and then in theater, and then after that I went to Kansas City, Missouri, and I lived there a while. I toured briefly. My background is in acting and directing predominantly, and then for stage, and then
what did you act in? What was your first show?
Oh, gee, ever and like as a kid?
I don't know. You tell me. Tell
me
what's your big one?
Oh, my big one. Okay, the show that made me. I did a show called Bone Chiller by Monk Ferris. It's a murder mystery show. I did it my senior year in high school. And I knew then that I wanted to at least keep acting as a hobby in my life. I thought when I was going to college that I was going to go into fashion. My idea, this is what is so interesting, I was doing a self-initiated major. I wasn't a good sewer. I couldn't sew at all, really. And it's hilarious because my mother used to be a seamstress. But I went in thinking that I would be a fashion agent. And my idea was that I would choose models and pair them with the right designers. And together, we would have runway print or whatever we needed to have.
How did you have that experience to know that that's what your idea was? And by the way, hi, Diane.
Hi, Diane. I had no experience to know that. I knew I couldn't draw to be a designer, so I decided to make it, and I knew I wasn't going to be a model, right? So I thought, well, I love fashion, and I like this part of it, so I put them together.
You just melded it all together into your plan.
And so that was my plan. So then what happened is I went to college, and I took an acting audition for non-majors, and they were like, no, you need to go into the theater program because you can act. And I was like, okay. So I did.
That's a compliment.
It was, and I because of the scheduling of things, I had to give up fast. I got to the point where I had to pick because everything conflicted. So I picked theater, and by the end of the time of my college career, I was running the student-run theater as the artistic director.
Nice. Was this out in Kansas City?
This is in Columbia, in between Kansas City and St. Louis.
Wow.
And
Eddie Nickel says Beth Marshall is so cool. Love
and
her.
Eddie Nickel is
We
so
love
cool.
Eddie. Love it. Bites and Bubbles. You have to go. It's amazing.
Yeah, so that, and then how I ended up here. So fast forward, it is now 1994. I just had my first child.
How many
and
children do you have?
I have one that is alive. His name is Darth, and he is 24 years old. And my daughter, who has passed, her name's Spirit, and she would be 23.
Wow.
And then I have like a rainbow tribe of kids that I coach theater to, that are in the age ranges of 13 to 22, that are all across the U.S. and beyond. In fact, one of them, my little protege, Winona, is now running the theater program at my old college in my old job as a senior. And I couldn't be more proud. So I have a rainbow tribe of kids. It was when you were talking with Mike and Tamisha earlier, in talking about Josephine Baker and that rainbow tribe and Angelina Jolie, I can so relate because that's the story of my life. My nickname is Mama everywhere I'm at, be it from the house to the poker room and everywhere. It's Mama Beth.
I love that there's a poker room.
There's a poker room. It's in Orange City, and that's where I go.
There it goes.
It sounds.
So how did you transition from acting into deciding I want to coach? Because there's a whole production. You're directing this show, which Teresa's on. We'll talk about that in a little bit.
Yeah.
But how do you move through that? Do you miss the acting part? Do you still get to do that?
I do.
Okay, so you get to do it all.
I do it all. I've never liked to really settle down and pick one or another, though everybody always is trying to put me in that piece. But it's kind of like you, Ted. I mean, you've got the mortgage side of things, the real estate side of things, the TED show kind of side of things, the social networking. I mean, and that's the same thing for me. But where my heart ultimately lies comes down to sort of three things. It's the casting direction with film, TV, or theater.
That's right. I want to talk about that.
Yeah, that's kind of the new way the business is
Casting
going.
being you're trying to find talent for the movies or for theater or for TV. Or
yes, and to work with those talents to get the product a director wants on the stage, on the screen, on the whatever, on the new media, television, film, whatever.
Do you ever have anybody who comes in that wants to be cast and you're like, wow, just like American Idol, we need you to go back and figure out something else to do?
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, it's got to be, because you see these people who come on like American Idol or these other shows, like, who told you your whole life that you could sing or act or dance?
Well,
that must be difficult.
It is difficult, but here's the thing. So much of casting, and it's different. Casting for commercial, film, and TV, new media, they're all three very different casting styles. And theater it's totally different styles of acting and different kinds of things that are needed. So what one may be right for is not what all are right for. And there's a lot about casting that has to do with rightness versus talent. It has to do with type. It has to do with look. It has to do with what a client wants in the commercial world.
That's right, because you've got all these balls in the air that you're trying to figure out how to make everybody happy.
Yes.
Yeah.
And in a project like theater, or in casting theater or film, oftentimes, there's a little bit more, certainly in theater, directorial control of who ultimately is going to get cast.
Sure.
And that kind of goes into, I've been fortunate in this projects I've worked on. I think I've had a lot more, been able to have a lot more say than a lot of casting directors do at the end of the day. But it sometimes goes the complete other way, and I look at something and I go, man, that is, you're not casting the right person here at the end of the day, but it is your product, it is your money, and
that must be hard. When you're a creative, that has to be hard.
It is, but there is a part of me, and I guess that's where the left side of my brain comes in.
Now the math comes in.
And I let it go. I mean, there's a part of me, and I can look at it from the standpoint of a financial exchange when it is a commercial or
business.
A film. It's business. It's business.
Now, how about the coaching, the theater coaching? So that's a passion, obviously. That's your joy.
Yeah.
So how do you get to theater coaching? And then tell us, you said you have a range from 13 to 22, that your current tribe, your rainbow tribe. How do they find you, or do you find them? And then what does that entail? What does coaching entail?
Okay. So my coaching is not limited exclusively to that age, but right now it seems like that's kind of where the wheelhouse has landed. When I first started teaching acting, I would do a lot of class scenarios. We would do a lot of game-based stuff. We would study the different techniques from Stanislavski, Uta Hagen, Meisner, method, all of the different old school traditional ways that you would if you were in a college program.
Right.
Then I started running nonprofit theater and doing all this kind of stuff. I didn't have time to teach classes all the time. So I would do what I would call one-off coaching sessions. So if people would need to kind of come and brush up for an audition for anything that they had going on, they'd kind of come to me on the side. Then what happened when I was winding down my time at Fringe, I had started coaching in schools, and mostly in Orange County schools. And people were having me come in, talk to the kids, do adjudication. Hi, Gert.
Gert, we love Gert.
We do love Gert.
We love Gert.
She used to be on the Fringe board for a while.
Yeah.
And she's amazing.
Gert and I have known each other since we were, 10 when we were in college, Gert? It had to be that long.
She's cool.
She's awesome.
And so, I would just go into the schools and work with the kids. The teachers would hire me to do that. It got to the point when I was leaving Fringe that I'm like, this is going to turn into my next job. Then I started getting solicited to run high school theater programs, which I did not want to do.
Seems like a lot.
It is a lot.
Barry Altland says she delivers so many spectacular performances at the Garden Theater.
That's another, oh man, thank you so
Barry's
much,
awesome. Barry and I also went to college together, UCF.
Barry, the Garden Theater has been my main stage for 10 years.
Isn't that Brian that runs that? Brian Fallon? No.
Brian Fellman is the events manager. He handles all the rentals and tours and things like that, and he's fantastic.
He and I went to UCF. It's all UCF people. We went to UCF together.
And you went to, speaking of theater coaching, you went to UCF with Ken Pruce.
I did. Kenny Pruce is my Sigma Chi little brother.
And his son is one of my top teens.
Yes, his son is Bennett.
He just got Best Actor in District 3.
He is amazingly
he's
talented.
great.
Kenny was always talented, and
still is.
He's very
He's
talented. He's a playwright.
Yeah.
He's a teacher, right?
He teaches at Florida Virtual School.
Correct. And I love him. We reconnected. I hadn't talked to him in forever. And then when the show came on, obviously that started to make its rounds. And he's like, I can't believe it. I'd love to have him on, or I'd love to have Bennett on.
Oh, he's well. We'll have to do something with the kids with Top Teen Times. That would be
great. Let's do that.
That's sort of the. I choose a group of about 15 to 20 kids that are the top echelon of the whole package, and this can be in any area: technical theater, design, acting, singing, film and television, writing, kids that do arts activism. The whole community component is a big piece of it.
Love it.
And we do a Top Teens intensive in the summer, and we do a showcase, and we bring in all kinds of panelists and adjudicators, and the kids win scholarships and monies.
That's amazing.
And then they go to their next level.
Where's Bennett at now?
Bennett's at Lake Howell High School, which is the only high school now that I still kind of coach at as a day, you know what I mean? Like a day during districts every week. I'd go over there and I'd help them get ready for the competitions.
To talk about Fringe, we have to talk about Fringe.
Of course.
We have to talk about Orlando Fringe. We also have to talk about Save Me, Dolly Parton, which
Yeah.
you're directing and Teresa is starring in.
Yes.
So give us a little bit of Fringe background. We were talking today with Mike and with Tamisha.
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of people, they hear Orlando Fringe, it sounds interesting, but sometimes it can be, if you don't know anything about it, you might be intimidated. You might look at the schedule and go, oh my God, I don't know how to pick any of these. And so for people on the outside, they don't necessarily know what Fringe is. And then we're trying to make it less intimidating.
Absolutely. And well, okay, so for the last, since I've been in Orlando, which is now about 24 years, I have been involved with the Orlando Fringe since 1997 when I came on as a volunteer in the beer tent. And then I ended up
I like that.
running the thing, the whole festival. And that's what I did for 8 years. I was the producing artistic director of the Fringe, which is sort of a mix of what Mike does in his job, married with what Alana, the executive director, does in her job. It was before we really had the full-on budget to have a massive, not that the Fringe has a massive staff now, but a much bigger staff than I ever had. When I came on, we were in quite the deficit. We were on the verge of going bankrupt, and we got that turned around. When I left, we were at about $500,000, close, just right under $600,000 annual operating budget.
That's amazing.
And now I think Fringe is over $1 million. I mean, and so the festival's really grown. I've been away from it as running it for 8 years, but I have never not been away from it as either acting, directing, or producing independent art.
And that's what you're doing now. You're directing.
Producing and directing.
Oh, you're producing and directing.
I produce and direct at the Fringe still, and now it's sort of my altruistic give back. I kind of look at it as this is, I want to support the festival. That was my heart, where I started in a lot of ways here. And I give back in the sense that I do a lot of shows that the either younger people that are coaching with me or the adult people that are coaching with me get an opportunity to showcase their work.
That's awesome.
In between my time of running Fringe and now, I produced several kind of heavy-hitting artists on the Fringe circuit, and that became a little part of where my bread and butter came from. But now it's more of a give back.
Well, I mean, you must be giving back and very charitable, because it must be very difficult to direct the diva that is Teresa Smith-Levin.
It isn't. Teresa Smith-Levin.
You know I love you, Teresa.
I love
I know
Teresa.
You're not anything like a diva at all.
No, but she's hardworking.
She's talented.
And so talented and so committed to.
So why this
creating.
play? Why Save Me, Dolly Parton?
Save Me, Dolly Parton is written by Megan Gogarty, and she is an amazing writer and educator. She lives in Iowa. And I was searching and reading tons of plays of what I might like to do. And Teresa was studying with me as an actor. And Teresa is known as an executive director of Central Florida Vocal Arts. She's known as a teacher of music and singing. She's known as a singer of musical theater and opera. And she does a lot of things in the community as a whole. But she wasn't known as an actor and doing a play that wasn't really about singing in some capacity.
Right.
And I said, I want something that's going to showcase Teresa and her talents,
That's
much
awesome.
in the same way how Mike was talking about with Tamisha in a whole package. And Sammy Dolly Parton brought that. At the same time that happened, Teresa was pregnant with her son. And so the mothering piece of it, the first time we did the show, which was in Indianapolis, Teresa was 8 and then into 9 months pregnant.
Wow.
And we have redone the show to be right for if she's pregnant or when she's not pregnant, or how
we're building it around
yeah,
you, Teresa.
We build the whole thing around Teresa. And the show is a mix of parenting, pop culture, politics, and how Dolly Parton saved the day.
And no singing.
It does have singing.
It does have singing.
But it wasn't written to have singing in it. We have incorporated that.
It's not a musical per se.
No, it isn't. It's Teresa singing as her character Dolly Parton songs in a sort of poignant way that add to the integrity of what Megan Gogarty's script allows.
Right. That's awesome. And so that premieres or is at Fringe.
It's in its fifth remount, actually, and and we're having 2 shows only, and this is at Winter Mini Fringe. So for people that haven't tried Fringe, Winter Mini Fringe is fantastic because, one, you are not going to have the parking hassle, okay? You will not have that because it'll be consolidated. Everything is in Lock Haven. There's going to be plenty of room to park. There are, in the early 20s of amount of shows that are there. This is a curated festival, unlike the main Fringe, which is...
That's the word that Mike said earlier, meaning...
Meaning, he artistic directed the shows that are in it. And so he's put that together in a palette of a mix of, I'm sure, because it's the same kind of way that we do the same kind of job, but the same kind of thing.
Right.
But it's in a way of a mix of what sold well at this past year's Fringe, what artists have a consistent track record of creating quality work, what speaks well to a variety of artistic types and talents, and community engagements of different sorts, and then what can bring in some shows that haven't been done. He's brought in that weren't at the festival, but with artists that people are familiar with,
yes.
And in fewer venues, and that's not as crazy. It's not as hectic. It's not as long. It's a short, small sort of sample plate to give you kind of your foot in the pool to test it before you come to Fringe in May and go, oh my gosh, this is so overwhelming, and this is a good sort of sample palette. And then for those who are veteran Fringers, you would see it as this is the cream of the crop. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, you're coming into it going, okay, I'm coming back to see my favorites. I'm coming in to see, people that have been doing festival for a while.
So Brian's posted something. Are these your performance times?
Thank you, Brian. They are. These are the performance times of Save Me Dolly Parton.
I love it.
So that's Friday is our opening, January 11th at 7:30, on Sunday, January 13th at 1:30, and we're in what's called the Purple Venue, which is the patrons room at the Orlando Shakespeare.
Which is awesome. So that's what I want people to know. So Lock Haven Park in general, that's where Orlando Museum of Art is. That's where the Science Center. That's where Shakespeare, the Orlando Shakespeare Theater, right? Is that what I said?
Yes, and that's where the Fringe office is now.
And that's where Brian, you're right. So earlier, and we'll post it. Beth will, and I will share it. We'll post the link because listen, you want to get involved with this. One of the great things about Fringe is that there's something for everybody. And what they've done here is made it more, you said palatable, maybe that was my word I heard.
It's
but
both. I said palate, you said palatable.
Because it can be overwhelming, and that's not a bad thing,
No.
because that means that there's so many amazing things to choose from. So why not give it a shot? And I think people have been reading about Fringe for so long, and they're only beginning to, there was always a group that understood what Fringe was and went and participated.
Always, yeah.
And I think that we're finally, because the city itself has become so arts-centric, I love it, that people are going, oh, so maybe I can go to Orlando Fringe. I was joking with Mike earlier, it's not all fringy naked people, or it's not all outside of something. You can find something that will touch your heart, that will resonate with you.
Well, it's honestly world-class theatrical entertainment, and the truth of the matter is many of the touring shows that come to Orlando Fringe are some of the best shows in North America, and that's Canada and in the United States, and beyond, and now way beyond. That's something that the Fringe, I think, has done incredibly well in the past. Since the time I've been here, is to really let the out-of-town artist market the festival to everywhere else. And we have tons of people coming in to just come to this festival. For local people, for artists that have been around here for a long time, you take somebody like Michael Wanzi, I mean, the Fringe is a livelihood. For some of these artists, it's their bread and butter,
right.
You know, and a really important part of what they do. And for now, for BMP, like I said, Fringe is a part of altruistic give back for me, part of a platform to launch the new up and coming artists and showcase them in a different light,
sure,
than what they're normally seen as, right? You know, I like to do darker and grittier work. And this is not always, across the board, what sells the best at Fringe.
Right.
Or that sells the best in theater in general. Which has never stopped me from doing it. And
no doubt in my mind there.
I love that Fringe still has that platform.
Sure.
And Dolly is not that. And what's crazy about something like Dolly is it has dramatic moments in it, but it is a comedy at the end of the day. It's a poignant,
I can't wait to see her perform.
Oh, she's fantastic. She's delightful. I mean, nobody doesn't like Teresa.
She's got such a great spirit.
Her
you
spirit's
really
right.
do.
Her spirit's very right.
All right, so we're going to share. Brian's already posted some of it, but we'll reshare it.
Yeah, he shared the link.
He shared the link. I want to encourage you to go out
You've gotta
to
go
Fringe. It's mini fest. You can go out. You can really experience it. It's at Lock Haven. Everybody knows where Lock Haven is.
Yes.
I want you guys to go out. I want you to see some of the shows. Look at the schedule and pick the one that seems like it's great for you. What's the worst that can happen? You don't like it. I mean, I want people to get out and be more experimental and get outside of your 9 dots and your comfort zone, because I believe that we're going to have great things that happen at every Fringe festival. I know it.
It's going to blow. The festival will blow you away. I mean, especially Mini Fringe. This lineup of Mini Fringe, it's in its 4th year. This is the best lineup. I yay to Mike on this lineup, because this is a strong.
Mike's on, by the way.
He is. Hi, Mike.
Hi, Mike.
This is a strong lineup of artistic direction, of a mix of the shows that have done well at the festival this past season, artists that haven't been not here but are coming in with some really new work that he's seen while out on the circuit promoting the festival or doing Josephine, and he's bringing them in to do this. And artists that are coming back with shows that they haven't done in several years and bringing them back. Like my friend Rob G, he's coming in from the UK, and he's got a show called Fruitcake, which was done 5 to 6 years ago at the Fringe, and it was one of everybody's favorites, and he's bringing that back. And it's about his time as a psychiatric nurse, and it's got poetry and punk rock. Fruitcake, and and Tales of the Psych Ward. You got to come see it. It's funny, and we want to see you out there. It's this weekend. We want to see you.
All right. So, any parting words of wisdom for them, Beth?
Parting words of wisdom. Come to Fringe, support the arts.
Number one.
Okay? Support independent theater. Go see stuff that will take you out of your comfort zone and that will end in conversation. Remember that theater and movies and music are not just as entertainment or performing.
Right.
They are for you to think and to feel, as well as to laugh and to escape. But I'm going to quote David Mamet, where he says, we go to the theater to see ourselves as kings and queens, not to see kings and queens. All
Nice.
right. So if you want to see yourself as a queen, the Fringe is a place to go.
That's a whole nother discussion.
That's a whole nother story. But
That's awesome.
you know, as an artist, we want to thank you for supporting the arts in Central Florida and helping us to continue to make this a world-class artist destination, because it's only growing.
I agree.
And we are affordable to be in for artists.
I agree.
And you can actually own
Oh,
your
there's
own
Kenny
pla-
Bruce just came on.
Kenny Bruce just
Kenny
came
Bruce,
on.
we were just talking about
We
you.
were just talking about you and Bennett.
And Bennett, we were.
And Kenny has written for my company before. He's been for Playing a Day. He's won Best Playwright. Best show.
What a small world.
Yeah.
Good Sigma Chi boy. All right, so you've been a joy. Thank
You have been a joy.
You're
and
a joy. Oh, my
lovely to be
God.
here. I'm sorry that I'm
So
table
happy.
talking.
Oh, you are table talking.
Table talking.
It's all right. I'm letting you do it.
Okay,
All right.
I apologize. Sorry. I know, and you said
Sorry,
that there's-
not sorry.
You
It's
said
fine.
that there's some. I love that there are some deaf people that watch this show, and that
Right.
this is why you talk into
You
this
have
camera.
to speak forward. They
And
can't
I love that, and I want to say, you know, thank you to the whole sign language and community for watching.
I love that. That's awesome. You're a joy. Love you.
Peace out.
Love you guys. All right, Fringe.
Fringe,
Starts
this
this weekend.
weekend.
Go out. Look at the link Brian set, and then Beth's going to share a link, and I'm going to reshare it. So go out and watch it. Go out and see it and experience it.
And come to BethMarshallPresents.com. You can sign up for a coaching, come to see the rest of our theater season, and maybe I'll see you in the casting room for an upcoming film
There
or
it
TV
is.
show.
All right. We love you guys.
Bye.
Mwah. See you tomorrow.